We will be starting in few seconds. Are we fine? Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much. Welcome to the 2024 online admission process. MEC Matome Chiloane will be leading us just to provide information on how we're going to be managing this process for 2024. We are streaming live, and at the end of this presentation, we will be playing a video tutorial on how to apply. We take it for granted that we are dealing with new parents every year who will need to understand on how to apply in the system. So we'll be giving that 11 minutes tutorial, a video clip that will be played at the end of MEC's presentation. Then after the video clip, we'll then do Q&A with members of the media that are here, and those that are working remotely, you can send your questions through our groups that you know. MEC, thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Steve. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to the viewers currently who are watching us live. I will be introducing our HOD, but we'll get an opportunity to have a new HOD in our province so that parents can be aware and learners can be aware, and as well as school administrators can be aware. Back to the business of the day. The 2024 online admissions for grade 1 and 8 applications period will be open from the 15th of June 2023 at 8 a.m. and it will close on the 14th of July 2023 at midnight, 000 midnight. So we will have 1 month full to allow parents to apply. The system has been improved from the previous year. Annually, we do assessment of the system and identify areas that we need to improve. And the areas vary. That's why now we know that 2020 for this system this year will be better. It will operate much better than it did last year, because annually we seek to improve it, and we do a lot of consultation in between. And the consultation is broad. That includes all the school leadership, school governing bodies, and every stakeholder that one way or the other interacts with the system to ensure that it operates effectively. So we have done some improvements to it, including its capacity to take on applications per minute. There has been an improvement with that. What we're doing this year, we're going to have a single application process. What I mean with this application, or what we mean rather, a single application process. Last year, we had two-phased approach. The first one was for learners that were within our system, the grade 7s that were in public schools. We gave them first preference to come to apply. Then we opened up for others who were outside the system, the public education system. So this year, we're just going to have one process, meaning everyone will apply on the same day. The application process will be open for all the same day, the 15th of June. So it will be a single application process. And that is for both grades, grade 1 and grade 8. The website is www.gdeadmissions.gov.za. I have to repeat, we have done improvements to the system. So its capacity this year will be far much better than last year. I believe that we are able to deal with about 40,000 applications a minute. That is the capacity that the system will have, a minute. And if you look at our system, how we were able to deal with 350,000, we placed 350,000 odd learners. So within 10 minutes, the system could cover more than almost 500,000 applications. So this is how we've improved the system. So it's very effective. So that is our website. Parents will have to create a login credentials that includes username and password. That will ensure that they have access to the system. And once they begin, they need to follow through the process step by step. I'll get to the steps later, but they will have to conclude the process entirely. One issue that we've had most problem with as well, it might seem small, but it's a big issue, is for having a reliable cell phone number. A reliable cell phone number. Parents apply with a particular phone number. Whatever happens in between, they lose the number, we are unable to communicate with them on placement offers and other information that they need. Maybe they might not have completed the application, they will not have submitted all the documents required, etc. So we need a reliable cell phone number. So whichever number that parents are going to put there, it needs to be reliable, and they must ensure that it's always live up until. So if they lose their phones, etc., they need to do a SIM swap, but they will need that number, because that's what we're emphasizing here, that we need a reliable and correct number. In every step, there will be an SMS confirming your application. Every step, confirm that you have submitted your documents. There will be an SMS informing that your application is incomplete. There will be an SMS that this is how far, this is the placement offer. So there will be that constant communication. We're seeking to improve on the SMS so that in between there is greater communication, because the silence between the application and the placement offer can cause a bit of anxiety in parents. So we'll be seeking to improve there. We are discouraging the usage of internet cafes. I mean, not discouraging, sorry, not encouraging, discouraging. My apology. We are discouraging the usage of internet cafes. They are not reliable. I know that there are some areas, especially in the city centers, parents would go into these internet cafes, and it really became difficult for them. So we have set up working centers we have set up at our district offices, our schools. So we have set up a province-wide system support for parents to be able to walk in and do this application. So we are really discouraging the usage of internet cafes. As I've said earlier, there are 5 steps to ensure that the application is complete. The first one, as I've said, creating the credentials. Then step 2, you'll have to register your home address details. The step 3, you'll have to register learner details. And we are allowing a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5 schools. 5 schools. Step 5, of course, is to submit your documents. And this one you can submit in twofold. The first one, it can be online. You are able to submit your documents online, or you can drop it off at the school. And each time these 2 processes unfold, you will be getting an SMS that confirms that your application has been received, especially the documentation rather. So parents will have 7 days upon applying to submit their documentation. So as I've said, there are 2 processes. You can do it online, or you can deliver it at the school. And the school will do it for you, but then you will be getting an SMS to confirm that your application has been received and recognized within the system. So if you were submitted in the school and 7 days passes and you have not received any form of communication, then you can bring it up. You can go back to the school or go to the district, but you have that recourse in place so that you can identify that you did do this process and you have not received any form of communication. Meaning what we are saying is that once an application has been done, there will be a confirmation. If there's no confirmation, it means it has not been completed. And in between, you will be getting SMSs to remind you that your application is not complete. Application is not complete. You need to go back and fix this and this. So we will be doing that. We are encouraging parents to target their home address school feeder zones. A school feeder zone is it's an area that is identified by schools as this area that they are going to service. It's not a ward. Because I know sometimes there's this understanding that a feeder zone is because I live in Ward 18, therefore. So it's an area that schools identify in collaboration with other schools within the same area. They identify areas that they will service as a catchment area, as a feeder zone. So ideally, target schools that are within your feeder zone. So that information parents can source from the school. Hence, we are announcing today, which is the 21st of May, the application will be open on the 15th of June. So in between, parents can then consult, do their own research, so that they can identify what is their feeder zone, or where is their feeder zone. So, this is also important. Parents, please read the terms and conditions and accept them. Read it, take your time, read it, and accept. That's quite important. All schools will remain open and accessible throughout the whole period. So there will not be a situation where you will not see a school on a system because of an assumption that the school will be full. No, the schools, all schools will be available throughout, from the 15th until the 14th, midnight. The schools will be available on the system throughout, so they won't disappear during that period. They won't disappear during that period. Now, documents that will require is placement will be done through a particular criteria which I will talk to, and very important, the availability of space. The documents that will be requiring are the parent and the child's ID or passport, a refugee permit, asylum seeker permit, permanent residence permit, study permit, South African birth certificate, either or. These are identification documents. All right. We'll need a proof of home address. If you are the homeowner, I'll get to the, or a renter, a tenant you are renting. We also require, there will be a set of documents that will be requiring. Proof of work address, if you are using your work address to apply. And your latest grade, the latest grade 7 schools report, as well as that's for grade 8 applications, and for grade 1, we'll require the clinic card or immunization report for grade 1 applicants. I've already spoken to this one, that there are two ways to submit those documents. It's either you upload it online, and then or you submit it physically at the schools. It's quite important that you give us correct information. There's no need. I'm discouraging parents giving us mismatched information as if there's. This is quite important. So when you're uploading online, of course, the size of the document, you need to compress it. As we've put an example here of 10 megabytes, file size maximum. I've already spoken to 7 days. Parents will have 7 days from the application, once you start the application process, to complete it. To complete it meaning finalizing the application through the necessary documentation. There will be SMSs, I've spoken to this. And then if there's certain documentation that is missing, we will alert you after 7 days that your application is incomplete. So we will be in constant communication. Hence, we're speaking about a reliable phone number. We will require proof of home address. This is one of the most important documents. The schools will also be verifying the details of the proof of the home address. So that will require. So hence, I said, give us correct documentation. Don't fraudulent documents. Don't fraudulent home address. Give us the address where you are. We want correct information here. So if you are a homeowner, we'll require 3 months municipal account. Not older, rather, not older than 3 months. Your municipal account, and which is important. Obviously, it will bear the full details of your home address. If you are renting, we'll also require the same, but there's also going to be any extra documents that you'll need to supply. We'll require the landlord's ID. We'll require your lease agreement, which must not be older than 3 months, the physical address, rental pay. We'll require all these documents, all of them listed here. Rental pay slip with full physical residential address, not older than 3 months, and statement of any account in the name of the applicant bearing the full physical residential address when you are renting. So we will require all these documents because the home address is just for the proof of home address. So for grade 1, the parents will be required to select their preferred language of learning and teaching from our 11 official languages. So parents will be required to select from grade 1 their preferred language. And the system on its own automatically will queue them for placement in schools that offer their preferred languages as selected by parents. And that goes as well for grade 8 as well. The parents will be required to select language of learning and teaching, home languages, and additional language. So in grade 8, there will be also an additional language per application, the home language and the additional language. And same, the process will apply for the same, but this time schools will also verify the languages of the learner from the grade 7 report, depending on the schools that they'll come from and from primary school rather. So there will be that verification process that will be done by schools. But it's not, it doesn't mean that it's a criteria to exclude. It's not. It's not, because obviously a child can come from a school that was doing this particular language. Does not mean that that is an exclusion at grade 8. We are not going to exclude children just on that thing alone. Hence, we are giving parents this thing. The verification of the school is just to confirm that how far. It also assists the school to prepare themselves, but it's not an exclusion. You can't exclude based on this, on the language. But ideally, parents, so that we allow a seamless flow, when you choose this home language for the child, consider the language they've been doing from grade 1 up to grade 7, so that it becomes seamless. But it's not an exclusion criteria, so schools must know that you will not be excluding based on this, on the language. This is very important. Grade R. We do have schools that have grade R. So parents, if your child is in that school currently doing grade R, it doesn't mean automatically they are placed in grade 1. Please, 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 please apply. Even if it's at the same school, just go through the same process as every other parent. Apply online, choose the 3 school or 5 schools that you want, you prefer, but apply. It's not automatic placement because your child is in grade R. So this is very, 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 very important. I have to stress this because this is one of the issues that many parents did come forward, and they do come forward annually and say that my child was in this school already, I already bought uniform, they're already acclimatized to the school culture, etc., etc. So therefore, no. Go and apply like every other parent for grade 1, irrespective. So even if your child is in that school for grade R, just know that you need to apply. So it's not automatic acceptance. So this one is about in between grades. We do have parents that want to apply, and they've got an assumption that the system is also looking at in between grade or other grades. That's 2 to 7 and 9 to 12. No, parents, go to the schools physically to apply for your child if it's for those particular grades. The system is only looking at grade 1 and grade 8. So for other grades, including grade R, you go to the school, you apply at the school. So bear that in mind all the time. We have 22 schools of specialization in our province. So if parents, you want and we are going to be launching more, up to 35 by end of this academic year. We'll have 35 schools of specialization in our province. So if parents want their children in these schools of specialization, they must bear in mind there are admission tests. So as soon as you apply, ensure that you do a follow-up with the school for that admission tests. Because our school of specialization, for instance, they've got maths. They're doing mathematics. There's no maths literacy in these schools of so there is an admission test. If it's a sports, there's auditions. If it's arts, if it specializes in arts, there'll be some form of assessment that is done by the school. So parents, upon applying, go to the school, do a follow-up, ensuring that you are able to allow your child to do this admission test. And that will also be done in that in-between period of the 15th of June and the 14th of July. So it's important that parents do a follow-up, and so parents need to be hands-on during this period to ensure that they are able to work with us so that we're able to place their children in their preferred schools. So boarding schools, the same applies. The parent, obviously you need to confirm acceptance, then you can proceed. So the same applies. Upon applying, a parent must then do other follow-ups as well to ensure that they have, they are ready all around with what's required for their children to be accepted together in boarding schools. So all public schools, application is online. Whether it's got boarding facilities or not, application is online for everyone. So you can't go because it's a boarding school, you assume that you need to go to the school. No, online. Everyone, so parents must bear that in mind, that even if you want a school with a boarding facility, you need to apply online. So the placement criteria is 5. The first one is home address within the school feeder zone, closest to the school. I've elaborated on feeder zones, that it's ideal that parents target their feeder zone, the school feeder zone located near their home addresses. It's ideal. So we're urging parents to really go to those schools. Secondly, we're looking at siblings. If you have siblings in the school, it's also an addition. But also previous schools. When I speak about previous school, it's also linked to the feeder zone as well, because there are schools in the surrounding areas, especially for secondary schools, they are servicing particular primary schools as a form of feeder zone into that particular secondary school. So we will also be looking at that. Work address within the school feeder zone. We do understand that parents obviously want to go and drop their kids closer to nearer where they work. So that is a third criteria that we'll look at. Then we look at the home address within 30 kilometers radius, and then lastly, home address beyond 30 kilometer radius. The placement offers will begin from the 4th of September. That's when we're going to start, parents will start receiving SMSs of placement offers. We will come back and communicate this part, but for now, all I can say is that from the 4th until we are done with the last learner, we will be placing learners, and we're encouraging parents to also assist us that if they are getting offers, they've received offers, accept those offers as quickly as possible so that we are allowed to free up the system, free up the space, then we are able to quickly place more learners. So the 4th of September, we are going to be offering spaces to parents. So accept it. As you receive it, accept it so that you can create, because sometimes the parents will receive from the 5 or 3 preferred schools, they can get offer for placement from all of them. And then if they don't accept, the system sees it as occupied. But if they accept one of the schools, then it releases the space for the other 2. So it's important that we parents, you accept as soon as possible. As soon as you get it, act. We are currently dealing with high pressure areas. There are areas within our province where we know that schools are oversubscribed. And so we've done we're doing a multiple pronged approach to ensure that we increase capacity in those areas. That includes, we have a very progressive program that we are doing as a province called a self-build program, so that schools are able to build additional capacity to ensure that we are able to bring in our learners, place our learners into those schools. So we will be doing that to ensure that we deal with overcrowding, oversubscribed schools, and we also have, we do have provision for mobile classrooms. And as well, so we're looking at multiple things that we can do to ensure that we are able to increase capacity in the existing infrastructure, but also to ensure that we start building, we're building also new schools in areas that we know it's a high pressure area, so that we can build up new schools to ensure that we deal with this issue of oversubscribed schools and overcrowding. There's one issue that we've been witnessing over the past couple of years. Some schools, they control, or they manage rather, placement numbers by converting classroom space into specialized rooms, so that they can say they don't have spaces anymore because of obviously the ratio, etc. So from now on, if you are going to convert classroom space into a specialist room, you will have to apply through us. We must give you permission. If we don't give you permission, that classroom will be opened. So if we don't have a problem, we do want specialist classroom, of course, but come to us so that we really can understand the rationale, because some schools have abused this provision and just to close out the number of learners for placement. They'll say, no, we don't have any more classroom capacity. All our classes are full and they are here. So from now on, you come to us. We will give you permission to convert any classroom into a specialist room. So from now on, schools, we will not be taking it from you. We will be taking it from us with regard to this, because we need to work together to ensure that we are able to place our learners into schools. So as I conclude with this process, the system has been running from 2015, and I have to say that the system has been improving over the years. We've done a lot of improvement, and to show that the system is actually working, we have provinces that have come forward. They're adopting our system indirectly, and we've been sharing with them the data, so that they also are able to deal. Because initially, in the past, by now, if we are saying the application process is open, parents will queue at school for 2 days, sit there, sleep there. So we can't go back to that period anymore. This time, the system is the best. So parents can do this at their own convenient time, at home, at work. They're able to apply for their children, and without really any form of potential discrimination. Because you will find that a parent will prefer school, but a parent is far. So we have closed those gaps. And also the system has helped us a lot to also plan and also assess the development patterns of our province. Where do we require to increase and improve capacity? So this is, and also in terms of not only infrastructure, but also educators, what kind of services can we put? And also now, like we've spoken about the schools of specialization, we know the patterns, where do we select these schools? So the system has really assisted us a lot as a department to plan. And it's got 99.5% placement rate. 99.5% placement rate. I have spoken about this earlier, that in 2023 we've managed to place 350,000 odd grade 1 and grade 8 learners in our public schools. So we will be having 80 decentralized working centers. They'll be located across the province. We will communicate where they are, but majority, of course, will be in our within our provincial strategy, in our township areas, in our informal settlements and hostels. We will have those working centers so that we can allow our parents to access. In addition to these 80 decentralized working centers, we will have young people assisting, volunteers working to assist parents to apply. We have 47 libraries across the province, provincial government libraries, and as well as other municipal libraries that we are working with. Parents will be able to go in and apply, as well as all our district offices. Our head office will also serve as working centers, plus schools. So all the schools will be serving as working centers as well. So parents, you can go to the school and apply there. So we've created a huge infrastructure so that no one gets left behind for this opportunity. So we're doing everything. So we will be communicating. There'll be a lot of information that we'll be providing in the next few days and couple of weeks up until the 15th, so that parents can then be able to see what they need to do, where they're going to go, etc. We have noted with concern retention of learners. We are not saying if a learner has failed, should be pushed up. No. We are working on different strategies to ensure that we assist schools, if needs be, give them the additional support so that we really get our learners up to that state so that they can be able to progress to the next grade. But it is an issue as well, because a large number. Parents in this regard, let me just take it home. We want parents so that we get our children right and they are able to progress and pass. So these ones will require you to be hands-on to ensure that our learners gradually move up the grades, because this it impacts on the capacity that we will have to ensure that we place learners. So we want to work with you, but we will be undertaking a process to engage stakeholders to ensure that we deal with this situation. So we're not at a pass one, pass all. We're not saying that, no. Every learner must get what is due. If they work hard, they pass. If they don't work hard, obviously we can't do much. But let's initiate a process that ensures that we get our learners right so that they're able to progress. So this is one of the areas that's been impacting. For the past couple of weeks, there have been quite a number of incidences that we've been experiencing in our schools. That includes high gangsterism, prevalence, especially in our hotspot areas. These are communities that are largely riddled with a lot of crime and gangsterism, and in some instances, it finds itself into our school facilities, because a school is always prone to what is its surrounding. It's not immune. Tuto Secondary School being stepped by another learner. The learner passed on, the other learner is currently obviously in incarceration. It's a very concerning matter for us, because it shows that there's a lot that we should be doing here. So we've been doing a lot of follow-ups with the law enforcement areas. So in the next few weeks, we'll be running a very strong, right, in those areas. And mind you, it's not all school, I have to repeat. These continue to be isolated incidences. However, it's one too many. We can't have any schools to be very vigilant. Hence, we'll be undertaking a lot of profiling our learners so that we understand from time to time. And we are urging schools that they have capacity to ensure that get a profiling of each learner. From time to time, if you have capacity, once a term, get a counselor to speak to learners so that the learner can speak, and then you are able to know this is the state of them. So that if there are changes, you are able to identify it as a school, that this learner potentially could be swaying in this way. Yeah, so we need to work together. We're already collaborating with our sister department, the social development as well as health, to embark on a multi-pronged approach to ensure that we get our learners, giving them the additional support they would need. So in conclusion, the application is open from the 15th of June, 15 June 2023 at 8 a.m. and it closes on the 14th of July, midnight. Follow all steps. There are 5 steps. Ensure that you get that SMS. The key thing is that SMS. That said your application has been received and you're fully complied. Then from there, we will take it from there. As I've said, the 4th of September, the first placement offers will be done. So with that said, thank you very much. Just rest assured that as a province, we are doing our utmost best to ensure that all our learners will be placed. So we will be placing learners irrespective. So that's what we are going to do. So I can't say that parents need luck. You don't need luck. We are going to place your child. Just follow the steps that we have outlined. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Like as I've already indicated that we will be playing this tutorial, which will then be assisting us to navigate through the system.
The Gauteng Department of Education's online admissions application process for all learners going to grade 1 and grade 8 in 2024 is starting at 8 in the morning on Thursday the 15th of June and ends at midnight on Friday the 14th of July 2023. Placement will commence on the 4th of September 2023 and end when all learners are placed. In this video, you will be guided through applying for your child to be admitted to grade 1 or grade 8 in a public primary or secondary school for the 2023 academic year. To access the admissions online application system, you need to log on to www.gdeadmissions.gov.za on any smartphone or computer. This will take you to the admissions homepage where you need to click on Register to begin the 5-step application process. Step 1 is parent or guardian registration. Note that after selecting Register, you need to read and accept the POPI disclaimer. First, you need to complete the personal details form and create a username and password. After you enter your ID number, a DHA validation box will appear where you need to type in all the consonants in your name and surname as it appears in your ID document. You may continue to apply even if your ID number cannot be validated, but please visit the Department of Home Affairs to have your ID number corrected. Ensure that you provide your cell phone number correctly and complete all the compulsory fields that have a red asterisk. Then click on Next Step. A Terms and Conditions notice will appear. Read through these terms and conditions, select the Accept Terms and Conditions box, and click OK to proceed to Step 2. Step 2 is Address Details. On this page, you will need to fill in your current home address and then select the correct address from a drop-down list. Please ensure that you spell your street name and area correctly and provide your correct house number. If the correct address is not found, click the Can't Find Home Address option for a more advanced search. This will allow you to select your address by placing a pin on a map of the area where your home is. Alternatively, if you are completing this application from your actual home address, you can click on the Use My Location button. If you use the My Location option, there is no need to move the red pin. The system will pick up on the address of the applicant's location at the time of making the application. Once the correct address appears, click Select Location. A confirmation message will appear with the selected address. If the address is correct, click Continue and then Submit. The next page asks for the parent's work address. You only need to complete this section if you want to apply to a school close to your work address. Once done, click Submit to receive an SMS with your username and password. The username and password that you created when registering the parent details will be sent to your cell phone via SMS. This must be kept safely to access your application at a later time. Step 3 is Learner Registration. On this page, you need to complete all learner registration details. Complete all compulsory fields marked with a red asterisk on the form. When selecting a language of learning and teaching to apply to Grade 1, please select one of the 11 official languages. If your child is going to Grade 8, you need to specify whether the learner's current school is in Gauteng and provide the name of the learner's current school. Select home language as on Grade 7 report, first additional language as on learner's Grade 7 report, and language of learning and teaching. After you've filled in all the compulsory fields, you need to click on the Apply to Schools button. Step 4 is Applying to Schools. In this step, you need to apply to schools by completing the school application form online. When applying to a school, it is important to remember that the following criteria are taken into account and are shown here in order of priority. Number 1, home address within school feeder zone. Number 2, sibling or previous school. Number 3, work address within the school feeder zone. Number 4, home address within a 30-kilometer radius. Number 5, home address beyond a 30-kilometer radius. Number 6, schools of specialization. Remember, when you select or click on home address within school feeder zone, the system will generate a list of all schools with feeder zones that cover your home address based on the address you filled in Step 2. You will be able to select schools from a drop-down list. From the application option field, you can select one of the following application options. Option 1. Home address within the school's feeder zone. Remember that placement priority is given to applicants that live within the school's feeder zone. You may select a maximum of 3 schools at the same time. The second option is sibling or previous school. This option allows you to select a maximum of 2 schools for previous school. The the school where the child is currently in grade 7, and one school when using the sibling application option. This option is only available for learners going into grade 8 and not for grade 1 applicants. You cannot use the sibling application option to apply to grade 1 or grade 8 at a school where the child's sibling is currently in grade 7 or grade 12. You may use the previous school application option only if your child's current school is in the feeder zone of the high school that you are applying to. Option 3 is work address within school feeder zone. This applies to applications made to schools with feeder zones that cover the parent's work address. You can only select one school at a time for this option. Option 4 is home address within 30 kilometers. You can use this option if you would like to send your child to a school with a feeder zone that does not cover your home address, but is within a 30-kilometer radius. You can only select one school at a time for this option. Option 5, home address beyond 30 kilometers. You can use this option to apply to a school with a feeder zone that is beyond a 30-kilometer radius of your home. You can only select one school at a time in this option. The final option is schools of specialization. You can only select one school of specialization at a time. As part of the process, you would need to answer 4 screening questions before applying to a school. Your child would need to pass an admissions test, audition, or sporting trial to be placed at one of these schools. Once you have completed this section, you can submit your application. A thank you confirmation page is displayed with the reference number for the learner application. This is also sent to the cell phone number that you filled in earlier when you registered parent details. This does not mean that your child has been accepted at that school. It only confirms that the application has been submitted. After submitting the application, you have the option to apply to more schools, register another learner, upload documents, go to the dashboard, take a quick survey, or log out. Please note that you can apply to a maximum of 5 schools for each learner. Step 5 is uploading documents. You will be able to upload documents by using the upload function on the system. All schools applied to will be able to view these uploaded documents. Parents who are unable to upload documents should hand deliver certified copies of their documents to all the schools applied to. Note that certified copies of documents must be uploaded or submitted within 7 days after making the application. The document status will only reflect after you have uploaded or submitted documents and it has been verified by the school. If you edit your address and personal details, including ID number, after submitting an application, all details on the parent portal will be completely deleted and you will have to register and apply again. A summary of all the details you have entered into the system can be seen on the My Profile page. You only have one opportunity to edit your address details during the application period. If you edit your personal details, including ID number, all details on the parent portal will be completely deleted and you will have to re-register and reapply. After the 5-step application, the online application process is complete. Expect to receive an SMS with an offer of placement from the 4th of September 2023. Once you receive an offer, you have 7 days to log into the system and click Accept. Space will be reserved for your child at the school where you accepted the first offer as long as no other offers are accepted. If you accept an offer from another school, the space first offered will no longer be available. Once the final offer is accepted, your child is officially placed at that school. Play your part. Apply online for grade 1 and/or grade 8 to secure space at a Gauteng public school. Applications open on the 15th of June and will close on the 14th of July 2023.
Thank you very much. Please note that the tutorial will be uploaded on our app. There will be a link there for parents to click. And we will also avail this link on our social media platforms so that you can probably, at the leisure of your time, go through it and understand on how to apply, because we take it for granted that we are interacting with the parents that will be interacting with this app for the first time. We know that there are those that will be doing it probably for the second or third time, but we take it for granted that we are dealing with new parents. Now we are opening for questions from the media. Can I then identify those that will be interested to ask the panel? I have Mema Tonsela next to me. She's the administrator of the system. She knows the system through and through. And on my far right, I have Tate Rufus Mutlana, is the acting HOD of the department. As you know that our former HOD is now the DG of the province. And of course, we have the MEC for education, Tate Matome Chiloane. Can I have an idea on the media colleagues? Do we have questions? Okay, Pat, do we have any other one? Or it means everything was clear. Mtila, you'll be the second. Oh? Yes. Okay, no, it's fine. Okay, Pat.
All right. Good morning. I'm Patricia Fasahi from the SABC. MEC, we saw the fights, the frustrations from many parents beginning of the year as they obviously could not find space for their children. Some, perhaps their own fault, applied late, didn't follow the right processes. But having gone through this process, the frustrations and the turmoil on the ground, can we get a clear, proper plan as to what are the numbers looking like? How much space is there for next year? As of course the application process is around the corner. How much space is there, which areas? That's the one. The other question goes around the accusations that we heard from many parents. I mean, Steve can perhaps attest to the fights that we saw in Pretoria with the perception that there are certain schools, in particular your traditionally Afrikaans schools, that still block black learners, for instance, in particular schools. What are we doing around that? Because it seems like it is a challenge, a frustration, an accusation that keeps on occurring, that comes back each year, where parents are saying that they feel that their children are being deliberately denied access to those particular schools, even if they literally live across the road, and they feel that it's racial and they are being excluded based on language. So what are the plans to deal with those particular issues which turn political many a times?
Thanks very much. That was the only question, and we'll move to online. I received only one, though it's not relevant to this, but for fairness, I'll just ask it. Simpiwe Mbogazi from Independent Newspapers. This question is for the HOD. Some schools have not received books this year. He's mentioning the Glen Vista High School, grade 8 in particular. He says it's mid-year and they have not received books. I don't know, maybe HOD will attend to that. Thanks.
Good morning. Kamawala here from IOL. MEC, you said you'll be building new schools to tackle the overcrowding problem. And then building more schools means everything in the education system should multiply. Your transport, your safety and security, and also your health. So do you have the capacity to do that? And then on the building part, when can we expect the buildings, the new schools? And then is it by the end of 2024 or maybe this year or as time goes by? And then the second question is that the Premier has launched the first cohort of crime prevention warriors. And then as the department, are you likely to benefit from that? Like judging from your crimes, your gangsterisms and all the other violence that is happening at schools. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me start with the second question, then I'll go to the first one. I did say it earlier that we will be benefiting from the wardens. They will be dispatched to schools. In fact, we are looking to have a set identified so that we can also give them additional specialized training, because we're not dealing with schools, we're not dealing with just ordinary community. So we will be having a number that will be set aside to focus on our schools. Already, some of them are already dispatched in certain schools currently, the wardens, in the morning within our safety intervention strategy. But furthermore, the e-panic buttons that will be launched by the province, educators are high on the list. They'll be the first call to receive these e-panic buttons that will be provided by the province. We've already done test trials, and they are active. We've tested them. So it's all about a rollout, but we will be starting with educators. They will be the first part of the first cohort that will receive these panic buttons, so that they can be able to benefit from the wardens in the wards. So yes, we will be receiving a cohort of them dispatched in our schools. In terms of building new schools, we do have schools that are at 80%, 90% completion that we were concluding. So that will be part of the schools that will be opening. And there are schools that they just need one or two touch-ups to conclude, and we will be concluding them, such as Page Acres. We are also going to be concluding it. We are going to conclude in that controversial school, Maibuye. So it's one of the schools that we will be opening by the beginning of the year, because that area is also part of the high pressure area, as well as Page Acres, Guruleni North. So throughout, and however, we've also gone into a different approach in terms of building new schools. We have done a multi-streamed approach to it that includes building. We've received a BFR. We'll be building 18 new schools. We're also in the process of concluding the process of identifying contractors that will be building those schools, and all those 18 new schools will be in identified areas, especially high pressure areas, but also we'll be removing mobiles schools and also dealing with the asbestos, because these are legal matters. So we will be building those schools. That is in place. We've also gone into an engagement with the private sector to assist us to accelerate the building of new schools. So we are finalizing those modalities so that we are able to work. So it's a collective partnership. We are working with everyone so that we can deal with this issue of building additional capacity. But more importantly, I say that within our existing infrastructure, we have got the self-built program where we give schools certain resources, then they can build additional classroom. So that process will be accelerated because we are aware, because the system does enable us to know where do we need classes. So with that, we'll also be doing it. So, and honestly, this has been a very successful program because we've built over 1,100 classrooms, additional classrooms. That's equivalent of about 14 new schools. And that is within the existing infrastructure to increase the capacity of our schools to ensure that we're able to place our land. So that's why I said it's multi-streamed, to ensure that we deal with this infrastructure backlog. And remember, the issue is about the system growth. Our system grows annually. This year it's grown with about almost 30,000, 20-something thousand. I'll just check, but it has increased to almost 30,000 new into our system. If you would calculate that 1,000 learners per school, it means that we had to have 30 new schools automatically being built immediately because of the increase in the system. And that is caused by a migration into the province, whether it's from other provinces or whether it's from other neighboring countries, but there is that particular move into our province. And that is because of the good work, the success of the stability of our education system in our province. Everybody wants to bring their children to where they know that they've got the most opportunity to do well and improve and go and be accepted in universities because of the quality that we are providing as a system. And we're proud of that. So the system growth is consistent. And our system has been growing over the past 10 years or so, or from 1996 to now, by over 1 million. 1.5 million or so. That's how much it has grown. So it's exponential. So the infrastructure need is also becoming exponential. So we have to come up with many ways. But there was self-built promise amongst the parents. So we will be dealing. That's why I said that parents must be rest assured that in terms of capacity, we are working around the clock to ensure that we get the spaces right so that we increase their capacity. So this online admission assists us with that, with the planning. Then we will know by the 15th of July, where do we have pressure? Then we'll be able to redirect our resources into those areas so that we can increase the space capacity, then we can place the learners there. So we know that very well. So this is one of the things that it assists us. That is also going to the first question from SABC. I agree, there were a lot of parents that were very frustrated, if I can use, with lacking a better word to use, earlier in the year. And correctly put, some of them is because of late application, some of them is incomplete application, some of them is preference of schools. And I must say this because, some parents, for instance, we had an issue with in Ekurhuleni North. And parents were insisting on a certain school. And that school was a fee-paying school. They were insisting on that school and said we did and tried to put them across, and we did place them. So when they arrived, some of them found that it's actually a fee-paying school and the fees are this much. Then they refused to accept those offers and said, no, but why am I paying it? And we said, this is what happens, in some of these schools. So some schools and schools that are charging, we don't give them, they're not in quintile 1 to 3 where we fully cover them. So they do have to get this particular school fees to ensure that the school runs optimally. Schools that are no fee paying school, that's where we cover entirely as a department. So there needs to be an understanding of that. But however, we are prepared this year for next year. We'll be ready to ensure that by the time the new academic year starts, we have less, if any, challenges with parents that will be frustrating with their children not being placed. I understand fully, that the pain of a parent not knowing, during the December holidays, you don't even know where a child is going to. And the child does not even know the child does not know which school. So we are dealing with that. So that's why this year I said we are improving on everything. We've improved. So even our planning is getting better. Our targeting is getting better. We know where to expect pressure. The system will just consolidate it, and then we'll be able to place. With the areas we know, Joburg West, that's the Florida area. Rodiport, Florida, if you want to know the areas that we generally have high pressure. Ekurhuleni North, Kempton Park area, not much in Ekurhuleni South. Not much in Ekurhuleni South. Tshwane West, there's Amanda say, Cassia, yeah, the Cassia area. Those are some of the, we know, those are some of the areas, but we've already begun a process in that area to increase the capacity currently. So we know for now, so we know those, Joburg West, Ekurhuleni North, and Tshwane West, and Tshwane North. So Tshwane North is, and Centurion. And the Centurion area. So we know these areas where we do have high pressure areas. So we are putting measures in place to mitigate the impact of that. So this one of Africans, I agree with you that this is, we know it is usually, it needs to be, we are approaching it in this way. Let me put it this way. There is no school that should deny access to a learner based on language. That's why I said that it's not a criteria, this thing. But it's preferable, it's advisable. It's advisable that you select a home language that you prefer your child to be taught in. But it's not a criteria that the schools are going to use to say, because in grade 7 you're doing CPD, now you can't do English as a home language. It's not a criteria that we are going to use to place. I need to repeat that. So even in those schools, it's not a criteria that a learner must have been doing Afrikaans and therefore they can't go into that space. No, it shouldn't be. And there's some of the areas. However, it's advisable that a learner continues with the language that they're currently doing now, from grade 1 until grade 7. They are well vested in it. It's much more ideal. So with these schools, also we said it's multi-pronged. They have to be dual medium. So, and when I say dual medium, it means that when we introduce the English aspect, and most of the schools have already begun. I know for one, there's a school in Yechland. They are having their first cohort of matrics now who are doing English. I don't know if it's this year. This year. They never had English it was purely Afrikaans. So the transformative process took place. So this year they're having their first batch of matriculants who will be doing English, that are English as a home language, because it used to be Afrikaans only. So with these schools, it's also going to be like, it should be like that. And that's what we are insisting as a department. But also, we also must provide capacity as well. Capacity meaning educators that will be teaching the English medium. Because the 11 official languages are official. So we can't say we are discarding one language over the other. But we are increasing the language offering in the school. So those schools as well, there will be that particular support that we'll be putting in as a department to ensure that we are able to place the learners there. Because our learners must grow together. There shouldn't be we are in a rainbow nation, our children must grow together. We are building a single identity, and schools are the only place, is the only place rather, where you are able to build any nation across. So the minute you find a school that is exclusively, then it's a problem. So those schools as well. So we will be undertaking a process post this, meeting with the SGBs across the province, and also other stakeholders in the sector, to work around the clock to ensure that we are able to embark on this process. So those schools will be open. That's what I can tell you that much. So parents must be rest assured that they should not fear anything much in terms of if there's an African school, they won't know. Those schools will be open. There will be that second language medium of instruction that is in place. We are putting, but more important, we need to put in educators to ensure that we support that stream of language. So it is there. It is there. So, and those schools have already started. I must say, some of the schools have already started this formerly Afrikaans exclusively school. They've already started having classes of English, except in the learners, and some, like I said, Yachland has already gone full circle. Now they have a metric class. So it means they've got classes across down to grade 8. Thank you very much. Oh yes, let me give the acting HOD. We need to get used to this man. I wanted to introduce him formally, that he's going to be steering the ship administratively from now on. And wish him well.
Thank you very much, MEC, and good morning, media and colleagues. I must say that I'm not brand new, given the fact that I've been with the department in other capacities over the last 8 years. Therefore, I've been part of the leadership of the department, and I'm looking forward to engaging with you and also working under the political leadership of MEC Matome Chiloane to ensure that we propel this ship to deliver on the educational goals of the Gauteng province. I would like to start maybe with the first question, which was posed by Simpiwe Mbogazi from Independent News regarding Glen Vista Secondary School with regard to provision of learning and teaching support material to the grade 8s of that particular school. I must say, maybe upfront as a principle, that the Gauteng Department of Education prioritizes the provision of learning and teaching material to all schools all the time at the beginning of every year, so that day one of schooling in our schools starts with teaching, not with looking for books or doing gardening, etc., etc. Therefore, I was taken aback by this particular question, but I've been informed that Glen Vista High School is one of those schools which has been consistent in provision of schools. But this year in January, indeed, there was a delay, and that delay was caused by the fact that there were additional grade 8s who were taken into the school, and there was a delay in providing schools to all grade 8s, but the issue was sorted a long time ago, early in the year. As we speak, I'm getting a confirmation from the district director that the learners, all learners in that particular grade have got learning and teaching material. But I must say that as a head office of the department, we are doing monitoring. And if on the ground we are getting an information that some learners don't have schools, that is unacceptable, and we will give it attention. And by Monday, we will be in that school to check and verify as indeed all those learners have got learning and teaching material or not. We'll verify that. I'm getting it now, but I see, Steve, there's a follow-up.
It is Simpiwe Mbogazi here. It is not true that those books are at school. It is not true.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. We'll make a follow-up. HOD will attend to it. Do you have any other follow-up question? Okay, that will be the end of the media briefing. Thanks very much. Thanks.